If I had done what a lot of people did, we were at 215, and you're thinking, oh, I better diet down so I can make 198s and be competitive. I felt like my career never would have done anything if that's all I did was focus on getting smaller, not getting stronger.
Okay, what kind of diet do you use and how many grams of protein, fat, and carbs do you typically take in a day? Let's go off season, right?
Well, I mean, right now, my body weight's about 258. That's where I was at. And I'm trying to maintain that so I can compete at 242. And I don't really like nutrition stuff, so I just talk to Stan Efferding, and he tells me like what to take, what to do. So the thing that he basically advised me is to maintain my body weight right there, it's about 4,500 calories, 25% protein, 25% fat, and 50% carbs. So as that comes out to in math is like 250 grams of protein, it's about 110 grams of fat per day, and then like 600 grams of carbs. So I'm pretty comfortable with that. And the way that he has the diet set up, it's great.
So you're just following his plan, so you're
pretty
not
much
deviating from that.
Yeah, the way he outlines everything is really great, and it's you'll see. The next question is basically about, what's my favorite meal?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm assuming the way that he's putting it in here is pretty much how a lot of the guys do it. Is he putting the actual foods, or is he just saying you need 40 grams of protein, 80 grams of carbs, and giving you lists to pull from? Is that, or is he telling you exactly what foods?
What he does that I like is his thing is called the vertical diet. And so he basically has what he calls the horizontal diet, which is sort of covering a variety of foods, on a daily basis or a semi-weekly basis, where you're covering the nutrition that you would need to get from vitamins if you have kind of like a low nutritional value of foods you eat. Getting it from food is preferred. So there's kind of like a list of things that you want to cover. Once you cover those things, you're nowhere near your calories and your macros and stuff. So the vertical part of the diet is basically filling out more and more calories, and that's basically done via steak and white rice.
Okay.
Which is fine with me, because I just go to Costco and I buy like a ton of steaks, and yeah.
Yeah, so it's easy.
Diet's not that hard to follow that way.
I think the important thing to put out here is a lot of times when people ask about diet, when you're dealing with athletes, you got two types of athletes. You got some that are going to pull from a list, and some are just going to eat the same thing every fucking day over and over and over and over. You kind of sound like your breakfast is probably the same every day.
Pretty much.
Unless you're traveling. So with that in mind, what would be your favorite meal of the 6 or 5 that you're having?
I mean, honestly, it's just eating steak hasn't gotten old yet. So I make just a bunch of sirloin steaks, cook like 7, 8, 10 pounds at a time, and just have that almost, 3 or 4 times a day.
Do you structure the nutrition around the training, or do you just basically leave the meals as they are?
Honestly, for me, that's a pretty comfortable amount of calories to eat. And so, but the trick is I just try to space them out.
Yeah.
So I get about 4 to 5 meals, and I'll get snacks that have like protein in them to get the other calories in there, like yogurt and cheese and stuff. So I just kind of eat. I mean, I'm at work and I have a refrigerator at work, so I'm pretty much just go to the fridge every hour or two and eat more food. And
that's keeping your body weight at 258 to hit 242.
Yeah,
which is keeping it fairly high to hit 242.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I don't like losing weight, because then you just feel like you're gonna have bad workouts sometimes.
I don't want to get into the actual cut part of it, but at the 258, do you start going into a calorie deficit, say 10 weeks out, 8 weeks out, or is all that just part of the final cut?
I mean, I'm not so dialed in with my diet. Most of the time when I've dieted to be 220, I have to get pretty strict on my diet. So this is a whole new sort of like homeostasis for like how many calories I'm eating to kind of maintain a weight where I feel pretty lean but pretty strong at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's a lot less weight than I would. I mean, I don't want to cut a lot of weight, so it's a pretty reasonable amount. Less would be ideal, but at the same time, I like where the strength is at this weight. So
now is this?
So what I'm basically saying is I don't have a sort of like a reference point at this point, because this is sort of a new training weight that I've been at.
Okay, all right.
And so we'll see how it goes, but I like just maintaining it and
pulling it the last 48 hours.
It's the same thing where with with this, as I'm eating this amount of calories and my training is going along, I'm kind of seeing how my body responds to it. So
yeah, we probably should put a little bit of a disclaimer in here for beginners and intermediates that they probably don't want to cut from 258, down to 242 unless they have experience doing it. because it's a big. You can do it because you've been doing it forever.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
it's a big drop.
Yeah, it's, I would like it to be like 10 or 15 pounds or less, but it is what it is. That's just where I'm at, and I feel comfortable.
For the lifters in your gym, say the beginners, intermediates, how much would you allow them to cut before a meet if it's their first or second meet and they're just starting out, or you just tell them just go?
Yeah, I mean, I try to discourage that as much as possible. If it's like a couple pounds, even if it's a couple pounds, I mean, the last thing I want them to do is like 7 or 8 weeks out be like concerned about it.
Yeah.
So I tell them like, look, if it's close at the end, we'll do it. That's fine. But if it's going to restrict your training right now, that's not what you should be doing. When I trained for my first meet, I was sitting at like 215 when I started training. I had 6 months because I didn't really know how long it took to prepare for a meet, and that's just the one I found. And so I just kept training. I wasn't trying to gain weight, but I went up to 225 just by, training hard and training heavy and cutting 5 pounds for my first meet. That's basically what happened. And that's
yeah.
If I had done what a lot of people did, where you're at 215 and you're thinking, oh, I better diet down so I can make 198s and be competitive. I felt like my career never would have done anything if that's all I did was focus on getting smaller, not getting stronger.
Yeah, that was going to bring me to my next question. At what point in a lifter's career do you think they should start worrying about cutting weight to make classes?
Yeah, I think that's kind of like I don't know. To me, it's more important to get strong, and then if you want to get strong continuously, you have to allow yourself to get bigger. And when I say allow yourself, I mean you don't necessarily need to try to bulk up. That's not really how I approach it. But you definitely don't want to restrict yourself because that's going to slow your career down. I think that's short-sighted and maybe.
I don't think so, because I've kind of always said you want to grow into your leverages.
Yeah.
Because you don't see very many 6'5", 181ers.
Yeah.
No,
that's what I'm saying. And for me, I stuck around at 220 for a long time, and I got stronger and stronger. And that's cool because I think a lot of people, they don't realize that you can get stronger without getting bigger.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, the strength you gain from lifting heavy and the weight you gain from lifting heavy, it's density.
Yes.
It's not necessarily just like a bunch of fluffy mass. So, eventually though, there comes a point where
it's too much.
It's like you got to let go of the weight class and move on. But like I said, my first thing wasn't to try to get to a lighter weight class, because then what happens when you get stronger? Now you're just fighting it more and more and more.
Yeah.
In the beginning, most people haven't put the muscle on that they need. It's just, that's just how it is.
Yeah. Well, the easiest way to put muscle on is gain weight.
Yeah. So like I said, you got to allow it to come on there.
Yes. How often do you incorporate safety squat bars and good mornings in your program? That's kind of two different questions. I wonder how to reframe this. How often do you incorporate?
So I do those exercises.